Holy crap, this lighting is horrible, but we're just gonna have to roll with it, so sorry. Hi guys. It's definitely been a minute. The last video I filmed was in August with Caroline. So if you've not seen that video, please go check it out. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever filmed. Today I'm gonna be filming a video that I've never done, obviously. So basically I put on my Snapchat story to give me ideas for videos for me to film, and my friend slid up and suggested that I do something that I'm interested in, and like suggested conspiracy theories. I'm not a big conspiracy theory person, but what I'm really interested in is true crime, which is so weird because I'm like the biggest scaredy cat when it comes to like all of this crap, you know, to this day. I'm going to be covering a case. I watch videos like this all the time on YouTube where people will basically just sit down and talk about a case that was either solved or is unsolved, and basically just describe kind of what happened and just kind of raise awareness about a case. So today I'm going to be covering a case that you may or may not have heard of. It actually just got solved 2 years ago, which to me is insane because this literally occurred in the 1970s and 80s and it just got solved in 2018. So the fact that it took that long to figure out who is behind all of this is so frustrating, but at the same time I'm really glad that they found somebody, even though this person's a little bit older now and won't be able to rot in jail for as long as this person should, because they definitely deserve to rot in jail for as long as they can, because what they did was horrible. Anyways, I'm getting besides myself. So today I'm talking about the Golden State Killer, also known as the Golden State Rapist. And if any of this that I'm about to cover in terms of like kidnapping, burglaries, rape, things like that are triggers for anybody, please do not feel like you have to watch this video. I don't ever want to trigger anybody, especially in terms of those topics. I know they can be very touchy. Alright, we're gonna get into covering this case. Alright, I just changed my setup because I did not like the whole like, I don't know, I did not like how it was. So like I was saying, today I'm talking about the Golden State Killer, which is also known as the East Area Rapist, which is really gross to me. So basically, this person is a serial killer, serial rapist, and burglar who committed at least 13 murders and 50 rapes, over 100 burglaries in California from 1974 to 1986. Over the course of 12 years, all of this happened. He had many names, like I already mentioned, like the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker, and what's another one?
20 minutes later.
So his first kind of crime started as burglaries in April of 1974, so a while ago. And he started, like I said, as burglaries all throughout California, specifically in Visalia, California. I want to say that's how it is. I'm not sure if I butchered that completely, but he was also nicknamed the Visalia Ransacker because he'd basically just break into people's houses and take a bunch of things, and people didn't really think much of it other than the fact that he was able to commit over 120 burglaries in the course of 1 whole year, which is crazy if you really think about it. His nickname, the East Area Rapist, did not start until July of 1990. He did not receive the title of the East Area Rapist until July of 1976. I'm going to read what it says because it's very specific. So he would stalk middle-class neighborhoods at night in search of women who were alone or in one-story homes, usually near School Creek Trail or in other open space that provided quick escape for himself, so he could go in, do what he wanted to do, and then leave it very quickly so he would not get caught. He was seen a number of times, but he was always successful when in terms of fleeing these crimes that he committed. He actually ended up shooting a woman who ended up running after him, trying to like catch him. She was left severely wounded. I'm gonna leave some pictures on the screen of these sketches that were made in description of this guy. It was also believed that before he committed most of these crimes, including the rapes, murders, and burglaries, I guess, he would actually break into these women's homes before he would commit these crimes and plant guns, like leave windows unlocked for him to get into the house easily if they had weapons, to make sure they were out of reach, and just like leave things that he could like use to his advantage, I guess. It was never confirmed that this actually happened, but it's believed that this was the case. He originally targeted women alone in their homes or with children. He actually started to attack couples, which I kind of found really strange because he went from just attacking women on their own to attacking couples, going from a single woman who was very vulnerable, like, let's be honest, especially in the 1970s. I can just like imagine how easy I guess it would be. So basically how he did it, I'm again gonna read off my little screen here so I can get this correct. Everything in this case was like very specific in terms of like how he did it, and it was also consistent. Pretty much every single case and every single rape, it was pretty much the same in terms of how he did it, how he escaped, how he planned it, like all that stuff. Very thought out, but at the same time, it's also not kind of smart because it left a trail almost, and it made it very easy for the police to capture him. I mean, granted, 40 years later, but still, it was very consistent. So he said his usual method was to break in through a window, sliding glass door, and awaken the sleeping occupants with a flashlight, threatening them with a handgun. They were often bound with ligatures, which tended to be shoelaces. I don't really know why he chose shoelaces over any other type of ligature. Is that the right word, ligature? I'm not sure. But anyways, but he always brought the shoelace with him. He never used the shoelace from people's homes, which I also thought was really strange as well, because like now they could take the shoelace for that he would have brought to the house and like track it or something. You know what I mean? Like that just didn't make sense to me. Anyways, he would blindfold them and gag them with a towel in which he ripped into strips. The female victim was usually forced to tie up her male companion before she was bound. The bindings were often so tight the victim's hands were numb for hours, even after being untied. He separated the couple, often stacking dishes on the male's back and threatening to kill everyone in the house if he heard them rattle. And then he moved into the living room where he would rape the woman. Would do this to a couple, but he'd only attack a woman. And like it was mentioned, he would put plates on a male's back. So he was like face down, put them on his back. I would have never even thought of like that tactic of like using the plates. Like that's actually really interesting. Normally after he would commit the crimes of rape, he would go ahead and ransack the house and take a lot of belongings that were of value. So the rapist operated in Sacramento County, and the first attack was in July 1976 to May 1977. The rapist operated in Sacramento County from June 1976 to May 1977. He ended up taking a 3-month break until September of 1977 and then committing murders in Sacramento, which was estimated 10 attacks. He attacked 5 times in the summer of 1978 in Sinaloa and Yolo counties. I don't know if I'm saying that right. For disappearing again for 3 months, which I also found really strange because like, why 3 months? There is also an entire list of people that he attacked and when, like what time and where this was taken place, and there is a minimum of 50 cases between June 18th, 1976 and July 5th, 1979. So over 50 cases in the course of 3 years. Like that is just crazy to me. Alright, so now we're getting into the murders. So he operated as a rapist for about 3 years until October of 1979, and then around October 1979 he started committing murders, which I don't really know like what changed in his head to like go from rape to murder, but something happened and he changed, so we're gonna get into that now. So his first murder happened on February 2nd, 1978, and her name was Katie Maguri, I think is how you say it. And basically after this case he earned the name Night Stalker because he would stalk women during the night and basically chase them and then shoot them dead. It was very interesting about these murders is that they would find these victims tied up with shoelace. So something with shoelace, I don't know what it is about this guy and shoelace, but there is some connection with that. So like I said, until 1979 he was just raping women, and in October 1979 he kind of switched to murdering women as well. So he would rape them and then murder them. He started in October of 1979 and he had a total of 7 murders between 1979 and May of 1986. Most of them were actually really young. I think the oldest one I want to say was 35. But something that's kind of strange about this is that a Sacramento detective believed that the East Area rapist was also responsible for the Goleta attacks, I'm pretty sure. So thinking that these 2 criminals that were related ended up causing the police to follow false leads, and one person later cleared was charged with 2 murders, and these were proven with DNA testing many years later. They did find out who did it, and this person did admit to it and is serving time for it, but it happened like 45 years later. That's just so unfair. Like, so many people suffered from this person, and he just got to walk around a normal life for 45 years. Like, that is just, it makes me just so angry. I don't know why. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff of trying to figure out who this person is. So I'm gonna read off again because it's very specific. So these are the known characteristics: is that he was a white male, about 5'10", slender, athletic build, size 9 to 9.5 shoe, blood A type, physically agile and capable of sprinting, bicycling, and scaling fences. Possible characteristics are the fact that he was between 18 and 25 years old when he started doing the rape in 1976. Authorities believed him to be 60 and 75 years old in 2018. Like, just think about that. 50 years later. He's also thought to have blonde or brown hair, blue or light colored eyes. So what's also really interesting about this guy is he would make phone calls to the police basically before and after he committed these crimes, which literally just gives me chills. Like, reading some of the transcripts of the things that he would say just like literally makes my skin crawl. Like, I cannot even begin to describe the just like gross feeling I get when I read these. I'm gonna spare you most of them. First one was on March 18th, 1977, and he ended up calling a Sacramento County sheriff. They got a call of a man claiming to be the East Area rapist. This call was not recorded. This is all just like recalled by the sheriff who answered the phone. Basically, at 4:15 and 4:30 p.m. there were two identical calls, which basically consisted of the laugher calling and then hanging up. Holy crap. Like, I'm like literally getting scared like thinking about it. Like, just like, that's so creepy. There was another call at 5 p.m. which basically stated, and I quote, "I'm the East Side rapist and I have my next victim already stalked and you guys can't catch me." Like, what? He made a lot more calls, and these are mostly all to the Sacramento police. The next one was on December 2nd, 1977, basically saying, and I quote, "You're never gonna catch me, East Area rapist, you dumb effers. I'm gonna F again tonight, careful." The call was actually recorded that time and released. Similar to the previous call, there was around 8 calls that were recorded and kind of transcribed and told to like the public and that I could find about this case. All of these murders and rapes occurred between 1974 and 1986 in the span of 12 years. This last call was received in 2001. And all it says is basically, and I quote, "Remember when we played?" These creep me out so much. After the last call in 2001, the investigation started up again because it kind of ended up being a closed case. Like, they literally could not find anybody related to these crimes. So the fact that they reopened the case in 2001 is huge because it normally does not happen. But this is actually how they caught the guy. So I'm going to tell you guys that now. So between 2001 and 2016, the span of 15 years, they basically just kind of pieced together all of these cases and all of these people. And they didn't just look at California, they ended up looking at other states like Missouri, Orange County. They looked at all these other cases in all the other states to kind of piece together where he might be, who else he might have affected, things like that. And on June 15th, 2016, the FBI released a photo sketch and kind of like a unknown suspect. If you see anybody like this, call. There was a total of 4 suspects. Now we're gonna get in to who did it, because they did figure it out and they did convict him. Let me just tell you, like, when you hear who this guy is, you're going to be just like when I found this out, I was so mad. It broke my heart because like it just made me lose trust in people. On April 24th, 2018, Sacramento County Sheriff Deputy arrested Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer in Auburn and Exeter, California. He was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances, and on May 10th, the Santa Barbara County District Attorney Office charged DeAngelo with 4 additional counts of first-degree murder. A police officer in California. But what was really interesting about how they caught him actually through a DNA testing kit through a relative. They ended up tracking the DNA to this guy, but they were able to pinpoint it, a large family tree. So basically, the sample was collected from a tissue found in D'Angelo's garbage on the side of the road, and both matched and were associated with the Golden State Killer crimes. What's even more frustrating about this case is he cannot be charged for the rapes and burglaries that occurred because the statute of limitations expired in these defenses. But he has been charged with 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping. He either faces life without parole or death if convicted. So this guy was found through a DNA testing site. Basically, his relative ended up doing it, and they found a similarity in DNA. So they ended up making a family tree and found a bunch of people that they think could be possible. They went and tried to collect DNA samples from all these people, and for this particular guy, D'Angelo, they took a DNA sample from a tissue in his garbage can, and it ended up matching the DNA, and that's kind of how they convicted him. He cannot be convicted for the rapes or the burglaries. And what's even crazier about this case is he's still not yet been convicted. He's still pleading innocent. And as of May 4th, 2020, literally a month ago, like today's April 5th, 2020, like literally 30 days ago, he said that he would plead guilty if the death penalty was taken off the table. He has not been convicted yet, and he's still pleading innocent because he's afraid of the death penalty. Keep in mind, he is 74 years old. Like, this entire case literally just makes me so mad. Like, it's crazy. And what's even creepier about all this is he's from Bath, New York, which I just googled Bath, New York from where I'm from in upstate New York. It's an hour and 18 minutes away. Oh my god. If you guys do not know, to all my New York babes out there, New York has an insane amount of serial killers that were born in New York. So unfortunately, this guy has not been convicted yet. His trial is still ongoing, and like I said, he was not able to be convicted for the rapes and burglaries that he committed, possibly, quote unquote. But he is being charged on 13 counts of murder and 13 counts of kidnapping, which is something, and will at least give him life without parole or the death sentence. So there is my rendition of the Golden State Killer case. I know it was all over the place and it was kind of annoying because I was like reading off my screen, but I wanted to make sure I got everything accurate. If you guys want more information, feel free to just Google Golden State Killer or Joseph James D'Angelo. Like I said, he's not been convicted yet, but as of 30 days ago, he says he will plead guilty. Death penalty is taken off of the table. So let's just hope that he gets convicted sometime soon, so he gets punished and the families and people that were affected by this horrible man will get some kind of peace and just like justice. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to me do a true crime story. I really liked doing it, and I really love watching people do it. If you guys want to see more, please like this video and comment down below what other cases I should do, or even conspiracy theory videos that I should do. Alright, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!